Hello, Dave, and welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Well, I'm not too bad at all, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been one of those days. One of those days.
Thank you very much for joining us. I've read your book probably back about 2016, I think that was. So I'm really looking forward to chatting to you and hearing a bit more about your story. But just wondered if you could start off by telling us a bit about yourself.
Well, that's a very good question. Commonly known as Blind Dave, as I say, as I'm blind and my name's Dave, so that suits. It is my trading name actually. I'm as a self-employed. I'm the company called. I'll start again. We call the company Blind Dave. What can I say? I've been up to all sorts of adventures: 7 marathons, 7 days, 7 continents. Done John O'Groats Land's End. I've run across the Sahara. I've swum from Alcatraz, the prison. I've did the Comrades Ultra. I do all sorts of crazy stuff like that. I'm an ambassador for the Albion Foundation, which is the charity that I mainly support now. Although when asked, I'm always willing to help with other things, but like always, you can't support every charity in the world as much as we'd like to. Self-employed as a motivational speaker. Whether I motivate anybody, that's a totally different kettle of fish. I enjoy my sport, listening to a comprehensive range of sports, really. I enjoy all. I enjoy my running, which I haven't done really for the last 12 months because unfortunately I've had to have 2 knee replacements. Why? I do not know. I like cycling. I like swimming to a degree, but if we stay away from that, that's okay. And I'm a carpenter, so I've got my own workshop, and I enjoy, I suppose, making individual things, but I do all sorts of things from tables, chairs, wardrobes, beds, desk tidies, all sorts of individual things. I do a bit of framing. So, I enjoy any kind of carpentry, and I do enjoy the one-offs. But, that's about me in a nutshell. Married, 3 kids, 3 girls. And as you can imagine, so I'm a poor bloke with 3 girls. Guide dog number 5 is Peter, and I guess that's really me in a nutshell. I'm sure that you'll be asking questions so that anybody listening to it will have an indication as to what I've been up to, what I do more so then, and hopefully that starts us off.
Absolutely. So I want to start off with your early life. Where did you grow up, and what were you like as a child?
I was born in West Brom. Well, born and bred in West Brom. Still live in West Brom. I was diagnosed at 10 with retinitis pigmentosa, and at the age of 10, the implications of RP and blindness didn't really affect me. I didn't truly understand in those days. The research wasn't there like it is today. And really, the implications of what blindness was going to bring to me didn't really affect me. I went to mainstream school. I guess I could have gone to special school, but you know what? My mate was going to George Salter High School, and that's exactly where I was going. Came out of school at 16 with a few O levels. My claim to fame in those days, although I played a little bit of football and I enjoyed it, scored a few goals and got a few medals. But my main sport really was athletics, and I was the West Brom School's town champion for 5 years on the trot at 1,500 metres. Cross country, I ran for school, town and county, got to county level. But I guess coming up towards the age of 16, my sight levels did start dropping that little bit, and I was sort of, I guess, beginning to understand what was happening to me, although still wouldn't accept it because I didn't want to accept it. But it was just before my 18th when as I wanted a career in the army, I guess I knew in my heart of hearts possibly wasn't going to be, but the army career said, hey ho, we could get you in some way, Sonny. So not wanting to have no spoken to me in that way, I went for my army medical, and unfortunately I failed. And that was when the realization of what RP and oncoming of blindness, the implications then hit me. And it was then that I started realizing, I had a couple of years where, yes, and I'm not going to deny it, I felt sorry for myself. And after that, it was just a case of, why am we worrying about this? Because there's nothing I can do. All the worry in the world is not going to bring my sight back or stop me losing it. So it was a case of then we've got to start living. And that's exactly what I started doing then.
And you mentioned there, obviously, about some of the sports you played growing up. Did you have any sporting idols growing up?
I mean, West Bromwich Albion is my football team. I've supported them from, when I was a nipper to even to today. I've been to the ground today, actually. I've been doing some talks up at the ground. As for sporting idols, I mean, obviously, back in the day, when I say football was football, few of the older players and the idols, I respect them and I think they were great. So, from way back in the 60s to now the noughties, the noughties, whatever you want to call it, the 2000s, I've got a lot of respect for the players. I know a lot of the players. Sporting idols in particular, not really idols. I appreciate and respect due and through the running fraternity, like the Paula Ratcliffes of this world. I just thought what she did was absolutely fantastic. Excuse me. But nothing and nobody that I could actually pinpoint is going to say, wow, you know what I mean? But yeah. I do respect sports personalities, and I think, some of them for what they do it's just incredible, because I know what I have to do and train to do what I do. So what they must have to do is just unbelievable.
And when you were younger or in your adult life, did you ever play any visually impaired sports? Things like, I don't know, blind cricket, goalball, anything like that?
Nope. Really and truthfully, I've never really been mixed up in the blind world as sorts. When I was a kid, as I said, up until 16, I played football for the local team with my mates. So, I did play with, if you want to, able-bodied folk. Same with my running. No, it wasn't until I went to Queen Alexander College for the Blind that I really started associating with other folk with a disability. Even today, all of my friends are able-bodied, if you want. And they treat me as such. And, not that I don't want to, it's just that's just the way life took it. I'm fortunate that I've got guide runners. I've got someone who's prepared to sit on the front of my tandem. So I find that I'm a bit of a loner in that sense. Oh, excuse me. A bit of a loner in the sense that, I don't move into the world of disability for my sport. I do for helping people, but I just crack on with life as it is, basically.
You mentioned, that you've got retinitis pigmentosa, which all the best people do, because that's what I've got as well. So I just wondered, can you just briefly describe to people what sort of level of vision you have these days?
I've got none. It left me a long time ago. Obviously with RP, and you understand it, starts with, well, all sorts, doesn't it? Well, there's different strands of RP, but back in the day, I've never ever been able to see at night. I've always had night blindness up until I was 16. Yeah. Could I see? Yes, of course I could. I struggled to see the blackboard, and I struggled to sort of read in sense. But in those days, I just thought that was the norm, to be honest. My glasses was that thick, and it was just one of them things you put up with. And I think it's been in the latter years when I've sort of understood what RP is, and obviously being a part of that journey where I could see to where I can't see, the levels that I could see, going through my late teens into my early 20s, and then slowly there it was disappearing until such time as probably, to pinpoint it, I'm going to say maybe early 30s when I lost it completely. No, I have no sight, and it is a case of, unfortunately, you get dealt a hand of cards and you've got to play them, haven't you? And that's exactly what I do.
And you mentioned at the start of the podcast about some of the kind of amazing challenges you've done. When did you first decide that you wanted to take on a sort of an endurance event, and which was the first one that you done?
Well, it all kicked off because going back to, where are we? In my 20s, although my sight was failing, I wouldn't use a white stick. I wouldn't own up to blindness in any way, shape, or form. I had an accident one evening where I fell down some roadworks, and I thought, you know what? People are telling me I'm going to have a serious injury, and I thought this was kind of the wake up call. I then, the following day, believe it or not, got in touch with social services who arranged a little bit of white cane training, and I was also, or it was suggested, that I try a guide dog. And so I applied, and then I got my first guide dog around about 1995, 96. And that totally transformed my life. I couldn't believe, what a guide dog does for you. And then I started on a case of, because of what they have done for me, I wanted to create awareness and fun so that other people could have the same opportunity that I had. So I started fundraising. Started with, a little disco, and we raised, I think, £1,150 was the first one that I raised. Now we're into our millions, but it was a case of, I was on my, I've got to think about it. Yeah, I'll tell you what, you're making me think here. I was on my second guide dog collar, and I was in a club one evening, and I've had a few sherbets, as you do. And a chap come up to me, and he just simply said, we've seen you in the area, you and the dog. He said, it's amazing what the dog does for you. And I guess you're working as a team. And I went, yeah. And he said, I'd like to raise some money for guide dogs for the blind. And I said, fantastic. I'm a fundraiser. What are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to run the London Marathon. And I said, great. I said, if I left the dog at home and you became my walking, talking guide for the day, would you be prepared to guide me around London? And he said, well, there's a challenge for both of us. And that is exactly how it started. And that was back in probably 1999, 2000. And basically, I ran my first marathon in 2002. And I realised that there was an opportunity to run again. And I hadn't run from, blimey, for 30 plus years. And I truly enjoyed it. It was still within me. And that then took me back into running. And of course, I've done 16 London marathons since. But after the first couple, enjoying it, the fundraising, it was a way of doing this. And then suddenly, the one day, I was in my workshop, and I was actually making a couple of stories and weaving them. And Sir Ranulph Fiennes came over the radio and explained what he'd done by running 7 marathons, 7 days, 7 continents. And I thought, hang on a minute, that's one hell of a fundraiser. So that is exactly where it all started from. When I spoke to the missus, we put a letter together, spoke to Sir Ranulph, got people involved. Guide dogs took a bit of persuading, but, they did in the end. They came on board. We got sponsors, we got route, we got logistics sorted. And in 2008, I ran the 7 marathons. And then from there on in, sort of years afterwards, I've just then got involved with other people and different adventures. And it's obviously, because I wanted to join the army, there was adventure in me. So the adventure stuck with me. And that's exactly what I'm still doing, basically.
And your challenge, where you ran 7 marathons and 7 continents in 7 days, how long did the planning take for that? Because obviously, I guess the logistics of planning your flights to time in with being able to complete your runs and things like that. How long went into that?
It was it's where was it? The idea come to me, must have been around about 2004-ish. But I mean, to go into the planning, the logistics, the people that came on board. As I was doing talks, the more and more you're talking to people, the more and more, it's a very, very small world, the more and more people knew somebody who got involved with the logistics. And it's one, it was amazing how that story came together and how the challenge itself came together. But it was very, very good, and there was a lot of help, and people are going, "You're going to do what?" And that sort of created that interest. And then, come the 7th of April 2008, and then the 13th of April 2008, and the rest is history.
And which countries did you do the runs in, and which one did you enjoy the most?
We did Falklands, Rio, LA, Sydney, Dubai, Tunisia, and then finally London. To say which one did I enjoy, they all hold memories. I haven't got a favourite. They all hold special memories. They all hold various experiences. I think just the whole week was a whirlwind. It was just one of those things. It was just an amazing week. And I can't say one was. It was just an amazing week, and it was just unbelievable.
And what is it about running that that kind of keeps you taking on these insane challenges that you do? What keeps you motivated to keep going?
Well, I enjoy fitness for the start off, and running. Well, back in 2000, when I first sort of kicked off again, it was just the thought of fitness, because I've always been a bit of a fitness kick. I mean, even when I sort of lost my sight at home in the bedroom, I'd throw a few weights around, and when I got the opportunity, and when I realised that running was still in me. But yeah, I enjoy the fact that I can run with somebody. We have a good old chinwag, put the worlds to rights. As I say, fitness is my drug. You get to meet all sorts of people. These challenges give me all sorts of conversation, and it's all fodder for all my talks that I do. But it's, again, I support the Albion Foundation as my main charity now. So I'm raising awareness, I'm raising funds, hopefully, and I'd like to think I'm inspiring other kids with a disability, that there are things in life that you can do. You haven't got to worry a tooth. I mean, when I was a kid, and I go back a long, long time, to be honest, Aaron, there wasn't the help out there that there is today. There wasn't the research there, and it's built over the years. And I know as a kid, people looked upon you as a blind person, or, you've got a disability, but it was kind of closeted. And so in some ways, that was fortunate for me, because I wasn't mollycoddled. But on the other side of the coin, you didn't get the help, or I didn't get the help that I really required. But that probably helped me as well, because I know I have to search and sort things myself. So that helped me. But with the fact that I enjoy all the pleasures of fitness and meeting people and whatnot, but it gives me a purpose, gives me a real purpose. And also now, if I can, as I said, help young kids with a disability to believe in themselves. Normal is not normal, but it can be to a degree in speech marks. So yeah, that's what I enjoy about sport. It just being a part of it, being able to do it, having guides that are prepared to give me their time, having a chap on the front of my bike who's prepared to give me their time. And when they're prepared to give me their time and I'm doing something that I truly enjoy, I'm going to take full advantage of it. And of course, we've created a fantastic team now as Team Blind Dave, and the lads and the lassies come on board, and we, without their help, I couldn't do the crazy things. But they can't do it for me, and I think there's respect there, because I respect what they do for me, and I also think that they respect the fact that I'm prepared to put my nose out there and do these crazy things.
And what skills would you say, make up a good guide runner for yourself, or a good, pilot on the bike?
Well, have good conversation. I don't know. I mean, we've been asked this question and we've done a bit of filming with reference to different things to help people become a guide runner for, for blind folk. But I mean, the latter two guides that I've got now, Tony and Rosemary, I was just struggling for guides because a couple of them were injured and they just turned up. They were runners. We got we got the cord between us and we just started running. And I think it's like I've got probably 4 or 5 runners now that I can turn to, or guides. And each one of them is different because, once I know which one I'm running with, because one will push me, one will pull me, one will say left, one will say right. Yeah, and they're all different. And I just think that we've formed our own kind of guide running, if you know what I mean. And when we talk to people, we say, look, do this, do that, do the other, but be yourself. And it ain't rocket science, but it's just using your common sense, staying safe, and utilising what you got.
And out of all the challenges that you've done, which has been your favourite and why?
Again, I've done so many, and I can't honestly say there's a favourite because, once again, each one holds so many memories, experiences, laughs, pain, pleasure. I mean, there was the 7 marathon one. Then, I did Jolly Groves to Land's End, which was a combined cycle run. I've cycled across the continent. Where are we? I'm trying to list it. I ran across the Sahara Desert. I've swam from the Alcatraz in San Francisco. I've done the complete series of the Great Runs. I've done and spent 6 days on the Great Wall of China. I've done the Comrades Ultra. I've also did what we called Escape from Colditz, which was a cycle ride from Colditz, the old East Germany, 800 miles back to the Hawthorns. Done Adrian's Wall. I'm actually in the throes of organising another bike ride as we speak. But do you know what? They've all got their own memories. They've all been absolutely brilliant. And I can't say one is a favourite because they're all up there. They're just challenges that we keep doing. And, when I meet up with the lads and the lassies, we talk about them all. And so I don't think there's there's no real favourite. There's no real favourite.
And you mentioned there that you potentially going to have another cycling challenge coming up. Are you able to tell us what you're planning on?
The next one? Well, I'm in the throes of organising it as we speak, and I know a lot of people, say to me sometimes, is it, it's all arranged, and then you come and jump on your bike or put your trainers on and run, and I go no, because 9 times out of 10 I'm doing the organising. I mean, me and my mates, the 3 of us, went out to Switzerland only 2 weeks ago. And we were organising a bike ride from Switzerland through France, Belgium, and then back home. But, I got my one mate who does the GPS. I've got the other mate who drives. I'm there poking my nose into various accommodation, hotels, etc. So, and they're also telling me the route, so I'll get things in my head. So now, although we've got the route pretty well planned through someone else who has put it down, I'm now emailing hotels abroad to get that sorted. I'm organising kits. I'm organising the team. I want, if I can, 10 riders. We get in there. So that's I guess my forte, and I enjoy that bit as well because the organisation for me is what I enjoy, pulling it all together. And then once we stand on the start line, different people have got different jobs to do, and then that's when the team comes together and we all help each other. But it's going to be a bike ride covering the Western Front Way.
And where does that run from? Sorry.
It runs from Switzerland, and we're actually going to end up on the beaches in Dunkirk.
Wow. And how can people sort of keep track of your progress? Do you have much of a presence on social media? Can people follow you?
Yeah, well, once we do start kicking off, yeah. I mean, at the minute, there's nothing said about it because we ain't not that, we haven't launched it officially yet. it will be in a couple of weeks' time or towards the end of February, because we're just trying to pull everything together. We've got flyers to do. We've just set the Just Giving up. As I say, I'm still trying to find, secure the accommodation. So once all that's done, then we are going to have a launch, and hopefully it's going to be around the 28th of February. And so, people will know more then. But if they want to go on to keep an eye on my Facebook, which my wife makes me look good because she controls that. See, everybody thinks I do that. But it's the Facebook is Blind Dave Heeley, and then is it called Twitter now? But it's at Blind Dave Heeley on Twitter.
Yep.
So you'll find us on Facebook and on Twitter once it starts kicking off. But there's nothing really there for anybody to shout about at the moment. We just literally set the Just Giving Up if anybody wants to keep an eye on that too, because Deb will also keep that one flourished. And that is, what is it? www.justgiving.com/page/Team Blind Dave Cycle WFW.
Brilliant, thank you. I'll certainly share out your fundraising page. I just wondered, Dave, when you first started doing some of these extreme challenges and endurance events, when it was new to you, did you sort of have to seek out advice and guidance from others in terms of the best way to train?
Not really. From my school days and from when I was a kid, in those days, although I had a few accidents, I used to run everywhere, cycle everywhere. I even had roller skates and scooters and that kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, when we done the sevens, we were under the influence of the Sports Institute Northern Ireland, which was great. And Philip Glasgow, the physio there, he put a wonderful, wonderful training plan down. But from there on in, we got an idea, me and the guys, me and Tone Rose, we know what we want to achieve, so it's like if we're training for a half marathon or a marathon, you've got to get the running in, you've got to get your lung running each week. And if you want to time, then we're going to start doing speed sessions and all the rest of it. But again, it's understanding what running's all about. And I'm part of a running club called West Bromwich Harriers. So, you talk to other runners, you get mixed up with other runners, and you just start developing what a training plan of what you want to do. I mean, me and Town are a pair of idiots, and, we just run here, run there, and run everywhere. I mean, I couldn't believe it when we done the Sahara Desert. We was training in 4 inches of snow, and I'm thinking, scratching my head, well, am I going to be in 50 degrees of heat, and I'm in -4 now, running in the snow, in the winter. So we just get on with it. We know what we want to achieve. We know the distances that we're going to do, and we try and put the level of training in to hopefully sort ourselves out.
And as I mentioned earlier, obviously, one of the things you've done is write a book, which you released a few years back now. I just wondered what inspired you to, or what gave you the idea to write a book, and how did you find that process?
Well, the book came quite by accident. Now, people may understand where I'm coming from with this, because I got 3 kids, and I reflected back to my dad. Now, I knew certain things of my dad's life, but you know what? I never sat down and I never asked him what it was like to be a kid, what he did, where he was. I know that he was in the army, and I know, his work when I was old enough to understand, but I never asked what his childhood was really about. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put it down. Well, I'll say on paper, on my computer. And I started putting my life, my history, and all of the crazy things that I've done as a kid and through the challenges down on the computer. And I thought, well, this will be on here. It'll be on a memory stick, I guess, for the kids, or it'll be on their computer, or they can print it off, or they can throw it away. Doesn't matter. But my history will be there, so they can say when I've got like, oh, Dad did this, oh, blimey. And that is exactly how it started. And then I got talking to a mate of mine, and I just mentioned to him, so I'm doing this story for the kids. What do you mean? And I explained the same thing. And he said, my daughter is, she's an author. And I went, oh, yeah. How do you fancy giving me a copy and let her have a look? Whatever, never thinking anything of it. So anyway, next thing you know, 2 weeks later, he come back and put me in touch with Sophie, and she said, "This is a book, Dave." And I went, "Is it?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "I don't need to do anything other than put your spelling mistakes right." And she says, "Dave, you've got to have commas and full stops in here somewhere, and you've got to put things into kind of a chronological order." I said, "Okay." And the next thing I know, she said, "I've secured a publisher." And I went, "You are joking." And she said, "Nope." I thought, "Oh my goodness me." And that was when the fun started. She started rearranging it. She came and we started. The more she spoke to me, the more stories came. So the more the book got enlarged. And then the publishers turned around and they said they only wanted, I think it was 90,000 words. And I was up to about 150,000. So we got to clear some out. And the more that we were doing things, and the more that Sophie was rearranging things and writing up different things in a more professional way, and then Deb was reading it to me, and the more I read, the more comes to you. So instead of taking away, I was adding. So in the end, I just turned around and I said, "Deb, Sophie, look, I can't take stuff away." I said, "The best thing for you two to do is to think, what is better there." And then between them, they threw things out and rearranged, and then we got it down to about 96,000 words, which the publisher accepted. But then they start putting deadlines on you. Oh, it was a nightmare. And, up until 2 o'clock in the morning, with Deb reading me different things. And in the end, I was glad when the deadline come and they accepted what they got. But that is how the book started. And lo and behold, in 2016, there's the book From Light to Dark. And I'm thinking, wow, I was blown away with it.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but I think the first time I sort of I sort of heard your story and came across yourself was I used to work at TalkSport when I was working as a journalist, and I think you'd been into TalkSport to sort of talk about your book or been on air.
With Paul and Andy.
What's that? Sorry.
With Paul and Andy.
Yes. So I used to work on their show, but I think that day I was working on the evening show, and so unfortunately I'd missed the opportunity to kind of meet you and obviously hear about it. But that was the first time I heard your book, and so your book's called I think From Light to Dark, and I certainly recommend to anyone to give it a read. It definitely it was a lot of it was relatable, I guess, as being someone who also has RP and a visual impairment, and a guide used to be a guide dog owner, but it was also very funny in places as well. So it was
Can I ask, did you have a guide dog at TalkSport, and did Andy lock it out or something on the stairs?
I had a guide dog at TalkSport, but no one's ever locked it out.
Yeah, because I remember Andy telling the story about, and it might have been you, or he certainly should. And he apparently he got out the studio or something, and that was down to Andy, I think, or something like that. But yeah.
So some of the presenters used to take him into the studio with him. So he used to go and chill out in there. But they're also there's a reporter called Sean Dilley who now works for the BBC. He's a guide dog owner as well, and he used to work at TalkSport for quite a long time as well.
You saying that, yeah, Sean seems to ring a bell with that story. Yeah.
Speaking of guide dogs, obviously you mentioned you're now on your fifth dog. What's your dog's name, and how long have you been together?
Well, my latest dog is Peter. Would you believe my first guide dog was also a Peter, and he was a Lab Retriever. Then I had Carla, who was a Lab Retriever. Then my third one was a Retriever Cross Shepherd, Wixie. And then I had a full Shepherd, Seamus, sadly losing him on Christmas morning, which was not the best morning to lose a guide dog, lose any family pet. And then Peter, I've had Peter... hang on, what year are we? 2024. June this year, I will have had Peter 2 years. He's a full retriever. He's a good lad. He's very sociable. He's very nosy. He loves everybody. But yeah, he's a great worker. Half the time you don't know he's there. I've had to put a little bell on his neck permanently because he's a little devil for following me around, and I keep locking him in the office or in various rooms in the house. And then they'll say, "Where's Pete?" And I go, "Oh, not again." And then you open the door and everything comes, and I go, "He's so quiet, But no, he's a good lad. Everybody loves him. Everybody loves.
That's the funny thing. When I had Banwell, my guide dog, he'd love to like lay underneath your legs. You know, if you're sat on the sofa, he'd like come and lay under your legs. And it's like, obviously, they're very smart and they're helping us getting around. But sometimes they lay in places where they want to trip us
Oh
over as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah, I've tripped over him, fell over. All of the dogs. I mean, they're more fantastic, as you know, experiencing one. I mean, five, and there was five totally different characters. But oh yeah, Pete, he's like, yeah, you're lying there sometimes, sitting there sometimes, and he's lying. Next thing you know, you're sort of traveling towards the door at a high speed, and you think, Pete, what are you doing there? But he's so quiet, and he sort of creeps into places. But no, I mean, they're great. They're great characters. They're great friends. They're great companions. He obviously enhances my mobility. Socially, he's brilliant. And again, gives me total independence.
You mentioned earlier, Dave, one of the other things that you do is obviously motivational speaking. I just wondered, how did the opportunity first come about to get involved with that?
Well, that again was from the 7 marathons. I crossed the finish line in London in April 2008. And sadly, I had been unemployed for probably 12, 18 months, made redundant and all the as you do. And then, of course, being blind, being blind and over 40 and on the scrap heap to a lot of people. And when I crossed the finish line, after the challenge, the following day I was on this TV, that TV, radio programs all over the place, and it was absolutely brilliant. And then started coming the phone calls. Could you come and do a talk for us? Could you come and do a talk for us? And I thought, wow. So I made the decision then which was brilliant because it really changed my life. And I went self-employed, and from there on in, I've done talks all over. I do talks to, if I after dinner to maybe corporate. I've been into some university schools, colleges. I go to women's institutes. Anybody who wants to listen to my craziness, I will go and talk to them. I've been fortunate. I've done talks in this country. I've been to Ireland. I've been to Barcelona. I've been to Verona, Paris. Recently, as last November, I did a talk in Cyprus. Them don't come that often, but they are nice when they do come if you've got the chance of a couple of days away as well. And that was how it all started. But it just put me right, and it was like a case of another string to my bow. But I wasn't happy being unemployed. I would rather earn my own corn, and this gave me that opportunity. And so, being self-employed now, I'm earning my own wage again.
And when you're giving your talks, what are the, I guess, things that you hope people can take away from your story to maybe take into their own lives, or to gain from just listening to yours?
Well, I mean, basically, it is a case of I tell the story of, I'll start again. My younger years, obviously from the diagnosis setup where, the implications weren't, to when I realised at 18, no army, this blindness lark isn't so funny after all. What I've then done through a working career, because I've had a variety of jobs, and I mean the stories within there, believe you me, not funny ones as much as. But then of course when I kicked off with the marathon running, and then from the sevens and then all of the other challenges, I guess it proves to people that whether you're blind, whether you're disabled, whether you ain't disabled, whether you're able-bodied, there's always a chance for you, and it's all about desire, commitment, and all that kind of stuff. So it just tells people that, I'm blind, but I'm not helpless, and I can do these sorts of things. But also through life, you need a little bit of help, and that's fine. You accept that. There's changes in your life, there's challenges in your life, and we've all got them, regardless of whoever you are. But it's how you handle it. And I'd like to think that, over the years, I've handled it in the right way. Yeah, I had a couple of years where I felt sorry for myself, and I didn't. I'm not embarrassed to say it. But after a while, I just thought, however much I moan, however much I worry, however much I stress, it is not going to give me my sight back. So the best thing to do is whatever you want to do, go out there and do it. I mean, my mantra at the moment, or or always has been, sorry, is stop worrying about what you can't do and concentrate on what you can do. And my God, it's amazing what you can achieve. I'm still doing things at the ripe old age of I am. I'm 66 now, and I'm still having a bash. But for me, I don't care whether you're 2, 4, or 92 and 94. If I can give a talk like I have done this afternoon, I was in a room full of people, and one person come up and said, "You have just inspired me to do." And I'm thinking, you know what? I've won here because one person has gone out of this room saying, "I'm going to do." Now, whether the other, however many was in the room, do, it doesn't matter. I've done it to one person, and that to me is a win situation. And that's what I'm hoping to achieve. Try and show people that what, as I call myself, the blind old codger from West Brom can do. More so the youth. The world is your oyster. Get on with it. You may be blind, you may be deaf, you may carry a disability, you may not. But there's only one person really stopping you doing anything, and that's yourself.
And you mentioned, obviously, your next challenge is obviously going to be the cycling challenge. Is there anything beyond that you've kind of, that you thought to yourself, "Oh, I'd really, that's a challenge I'd really love to do."
Strangely enough, my 3 girls now have took up the mantle of running, and they're enjoying it. And the one thing that they do want to do, or have always wanted to do, is run a marathon with me. And so what we've decided that we're going to do the London Marathon in 2025. It is going to be my swan song as far as, London marathons, etc. are concerned. And the 3 girls are going to run with me. They're each going to run, and they're going to guide me through the 26.2. And touch wood, hopefully, we'll cross that finish line as a team, as a family. And I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, that is for next April. I've been asked to get involved with a walk from Wembley back to the Hawthorns in May, which basically is going to be promoting blindness, because the Albion Foundation cover a hell of a lot of disabilities, but this particular one is a walk with the blind, and they're saying we're walking in Dave's shoes. And the director of the Albion Foundation is actually going to do the whole walk blindfolded. So we've got that to look forward to. And then there's a few other things going on through the year. So I think it's going to be I know it's going to be a very busy year again.
That's amazing. Then, I think I love the fact that you're going to get a chance to run the London Marathon with your daughters as well. I should imagine that'd be a very what's the word I'm looking for? Something that would mean a lot to you. I should imagine that'd be an amazing occasion. So, good luck with that. That'd be great.
It's going to be a very emotional run, that one. And the one thing that I have got to do for that particular run is I need to get a sponsorship from Kleenex, because the wife is going to be at the end. 3 kids and me, it doesn't take a lot to turn the tap on with her anyway. I tell you what, we'll be swimming across that finish line when she sees us, but I think it will be a lovely moment.
Brilliant. Oh, well, listen, Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thank you, ever so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story. I'll certainly share out any fundraising links you have, and I can't recommend your book thoroughly enough. But I'd love to kind of hopefully meet you in person one day. And I'll say once again, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you and hearing your story.
No, thank you. And what I'll do now, I've obviously got your email. So once I know things are up and running, maybe I can send you some stuff through, and you can, anybody who's prepared to put it out on their social platforms, because the more that we get it out there, the more awareness created, and obviously more funds for kids with disabilities. So it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for taking the time to search me out and listen to this boring old blind codger.
No, Dave, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.